It is book reading 3. It is chapter 11, second part of the book, and chapter 11, Face to Face Against Islam. And if you visit amazon.co.uk, Neo-Stalinism, author myself, Irfan Zaid, you will find the book on internet. So this is the book reading, and I have given two book readings, number 1 and 2, earlier, and now it is number 3, which I am going to read from the book. It's Face to Face Against Islam, and its subtitle is 21st. 21st. The Quran gives permission to rape slave girls. All the populations of the conquered countries were always enslaved. Their women were taken as concubines to rape by Muslims, the soldiers of Allah. Muslim God permitted all these things by himself. It was legal for them, for the people, as even in the holy book, the Quran, there is an ayat verses named the spoils of the war, where their God permits them to do all these atrocities of raping the slave girls. And the great prophet Muhammad by himself distributed the spoils of war and slaves and concubines among the victors. It is historical fact that once two men were fighting with each other to get possession of a pretty slave girl. One said, "She's mine," and the other was fighting that, "I will snatch her from you." The case was taken to Muhammad. "Both of you bloody men run away. You cannot manage and control her. Some other one, more powerful man, will snatch her from you. It is better that I must give her protection and give her protection. I must powerful man will snatch from it is better I must give her protection and keep her for myself." And then Muhammad kept her in the name of marriage. It is most important to remember that in Islam, the concept of marriage is not different from the act of prostitution. Muhammad was entitled to keep as many wives as he wanted. He could keep anyone, and he can leave anyone without her consent, as the Quran or as as per the Quran, ordinary Muslim could give 4 women in marriage at one time. If he wanted to marry a fifth woman, he must leave one from amongst the previous 4 wives. Subtitle 22. The Quran promises gay relationship in paradise. Muslims in paradise will also get young and handsome boys who will look like pearls mentioned in the Quran. So the Quran gives even permission of gay relationship in paradise. That is the reason that in the Quran no punishment is prescribed for man to man adultery relationship. In Islamic countries, the prevalent legal systems to punish the gay relationship is not Islamic. It is derogatory to the spirit of the Quran as shown by the verses. Para 5, Surah 4, verse 15. As for those of your women who are guilty of lewdness, call to witnesses 4 of you against them, and if they testify to the truth of the allegation, then confine them to the house till they die. It is death. It is murder. Till they die, take them, or Allah appoints for them a way. Verse 16. And amongst you, if 2 men commit adultery with each other, then give torture to both of them who are guilty, and if they repent and improve, then let them go. Lo, Allah is relenting and merciful. Leaving aside the economic causes, 90% causes of crime are embedded in sex deprivation, while the main inherent major cause of crimes is overpopulation by itself. With the freedom of gay relationship, intellectual tyranny of woman over man is abolished with one single stroke of legal amendment to permit gay relationship. Thus, population is controlled and sex problem altogether vanishes. Tyranny of women over sex means that when woman uses her sex for the purpose of other than love making, when she makes her sex as a ladder for her bright future or for the rise of her status, when she sells her body for monetary gains, when she makes the choices to have an intercourse with ugly and heinous people, not for the purpose of love making, but for other worldly gains, thus depriving the real lovers of her beauty from the blessings of her sex, then of course it becomes the tyranny of woman over sex. Sex tyranny of women is interconnected with the slavery of women in the capitalist system, where majority of the people are deprived of their sex rights, and it becomes the exclusive right of the privileged classes, thus causing all the mental disturbances and crimes in consequence. Though gay relationships are prevailing in all the countries of the world, but these are under the veil and behind the curtain. In sex controlled countries, gay relationships are more intense, more greedy, and more hungry. Mullahs of Islam and Christian priests are practically fond gay relationship in whole of the world. Wherever woman is behind the veil, parda, gay relationships are intense, greedy, and severe. Computer computer report tell computer reports tell and give us the true data that in third world countries gay relationships are spread over all the populations. Sex is strongest instinct. Nobody can control it. It is a hard and bitter reality that every baby does his first sex experience with his mother, not amounting to sexual intercourse, but it is sex friction player with the intention to do sex. Sister, brother, father, daughter relationships are not immune from sexual assaults, but it is all concealed and is done under the veil and behind the scene. Vulgarity exists in the minds of all those who think that sex is a vulgar phenomena. In fact, sex is the most sacred act of life. It is most pleasant, without which life is nothingness. All those who defy and condemn the reality of sex are insane people, and religion teaches that insanity. In religion, sex is done in a very immoral way. At the same time, sex is condemned as a sin. This is a dichotomous character of religious people. Sex is the expression of love between the two consenting genders and is the basic human fundamental right which cannot be violated by the interference of third person or disturbed by any act of society, state, or religious violence. Subtitle is 23. Subtitle is 23. It is fasting. According to Islamic calendar, fasting is in the month of Ramadan. This is one more foolish ritual in Islam called fasting. During the month of Ramzan, Muslims fast. They remain hungry and thirsty from dawn to dusk all the day for whole full month. Don't commit any sin during the month of Ramzan. Islam Islamic months are according to the lunar calendar, moon, which is neither the cause of day or night, nor we can count years from moon. Change in weather is also caused by the sun, not by the moon. The moon calendar is called Islamic. Lunar calendar was prevalent even before the advent of Islam, but Islam had preferred this illiteracy to adopt and given it the name as Islamic calendar. Sometimes Ramadan comes in winter and another time it is summer or autumn or spring. The timings of Ramadan with fasting are not regular in relation to the weather conditions. They had ignored the sun and they lived in darkness like a blind bat. Christmas has its fixed date, that is December with cold weather, which makes sense. The concept become the ritual of fasting is that Muslim must know and feel the misery of poverty and hunger. That is the spirit behind which they proclaim to practice in their fasting. But if we examine the practical implications of Ramadan, it is quite reverse to the verbal boast. The practice of Ramzan is quite disgusting. In Ramadan, the fasting people eat so much that even monsters cannot match them. All the fruits from the markets disappear due to excessive purchase. Price hike becomes sky high. Even an exorbitant rates of the people buy the even on exorbitant rates, the people buy the food, while the poor cannot dare to look at such an expensive food. Due to one day's hunger and thirst, even Muslims refuse to work and remain idle rest at their home houses, and lies down on the bed whole the day. On the pretext of fasting, work in office places stops. Mood of Muslims become filthy, nasty, and confused. Fasting is a cheap and petty show business. Also to boast and tell others that we are good Muslim and we follow God. Nobody works during Ramadan. Working hours of all the government offices nearly come to a dead end. The month is a miserable month of concoction, show, and unbridled behavior. Ramzan is the other name of laziness for whole the nation. All the Muslims ask to each other, "Are you fasting?" "I am fasting." Many people, those who don't fast, they tell lies that they are fasting and concealing their sin of not fasting. It is thought to be a matter of prestige to keep and observe fasting days. Nobody can eat outside under the sight of people, those who are fasting. Don't eat in front of a hungry man because that hungry man will be allured to see the food. All those who don't keep the fasting are given petty looks, so they always hide the secret that they are not fasting. There are people, those who are very true and cannot speak a lie, they compromise on half truth and half lie, that today I am not fasting, though their today is every day. All the Muslims during Ramadan are the victims of complexes. When the fasting time is over in the evening, they eat like devils. They eat all and everything which is very luxurious. The budget in the month of Ramadan is much more than any other month of the year. During the month of Ramadan, they tell fake stories about their prophet and companions of prophets. Once a companion of prophet was hungry for 2 days, named Ali, and he had tied two big stones on his belly to control the hunger. He said to Hazrat Ali that I am hungry for 2 days. Ali lifted up his shirt and showed four stone tied with his belly, that he was hungry for many days. How we can believe it is unreasonable that by putting the weight of stones on the stomach in any way the process of the digestive system can be controlled, or the feeling of hunger can be diminished. These fake stories are what the Muslims believe and boast of their about their fastings. Subtitle is 24. Diseases can be cured by reading the verses of the Quran. One more intellectual Islamic disease to mention is widespread in the common people. Even television is full of such propaganda and advertisements that all the diseases can be cured by reading the verses of the Quran. They read the verses of the Quran over water and make it to drink for the patient. Or they place their hand on the place of injury or spot where it pains and starts reciting the verses of the Quran. Then they say it is cured now. They play with the psychology of ignorant patients, those who feel satisfied that God will cure them. They have no understanding that the diseases which are caused by germs or virus, how it can be cured even by psychological treatments. For example, one Arabic word is nur, as mentioned in the Quran, which means light. So the diseases of the eyesight can be cured by just putting your hand on the eye, starting repeating the word nur 1000 times. 1000 times. The eye disease will be cured. These kinds of beliefs are widespread in Muslim community. Bury the doctors, demolish the hospitals. There is no need of medical sciences. God has provided us with the Quran, which can cure all the diseases. Same way the Christian do. The same folly as prevalent in Muslim societies. Christians think that by reciting the name of Jesus, the diseases can be cured. Subtitle 25: Hinduism. While writing against Islam and Christianity, it is important to write against Hinduism also. It is not an immune religion. All religions are very similar. Subtitle is 25: Hinduism. The force of taboos is great, just as an example of that extreme insanity in a most disgusting religion called Hinduism. As per their customs and rituals from ancient times to the present modern age, Hindus always used to burn the woman alive with the corpse of their dead husbands. Even today, there are Hindus who practice the rituals of drinking the urine of cow, which they take it as sacred. However, Hinduism superior to Christianity is in Islam in respect to their longer chain of logic about the concept of the existence of God or about the resting place of this earth. In the logic of the relationship of cause and effect, Hinduism travels up to two shekels of chain about the theory, while Islam and Christianity fall only on one step about the interrelation of cause and effect theory. When Christians and Muslims say that from where this world came into existence and what is the cause of the creation of this universe, they answer that God had created it. Then from where God came and who has caused the existence of God, their answer is that God is self existent and nothing is the cause of God's creation. He is by himself. In this way, the answer is the betrayal of cause and effect theory. They just fall on the distance of one shekel of the chain. But Hinduism travels little longer in the sphere of logic about the resting place of this earth. When we ask them on which place the earth rests and stands, they answer there is a big elephant on which the earth is placed. When we ask place that on which place that elephant rests, they answer it is a big tortoise on which that elephant stands and rests. And what about tortoise? They answer, here our knowledge ends. We cannot know about any further details on which the tortoise is standing or resting. However, I have all the praises for the depth of their insight about the causes of things which have traveled a longer path in the sphere of logic, which are two shekels of the chain. At least they have tried to go deeper in their thinking than Muslims or Christians by traveling in a longer chain of reasoning. Subtitle 26. Subtitle 26: Shiites, a sect of Muslims, Shias. There is one sect of Muslims, almost one third of the Pakistani populations, who are Shiites. All Iranians are Shiites, and more than half population of Iraq are Shiites. They practically have belief in Hazrat Ali. They take him to be nearly a god, the same way as Christians have their belief in Jesus. In Islam, there are many sects. Biggest ones are the Sunnis and Shiites. It is the same way as Catholic and Protestants of Christianity, all opposing and and bloodthirsty, conspiring against each other all the time. Out of these sects, the minorities is always a vulnerable point of external invasions and best tool for conspiracy or treason for the easy conquest by foreign forces. Subsection 27. Hazrat Ali is worshipped even more than Prophet Muhammad. They almost treat him like a god and always seek help from the miserably defeated creature named as Ali. Ali had 24 wives overall and more than 80 concubines, the slave girls. Ali was fourth caliph, the king of the Muslims. There are a lot of legends made about that person. It was said that Ali was a poor man and he acted out his life by eating the bread of barley. That is the concept of a poor man who did not have his lust satisfied with such a large number of women. Shiites, in their prayers, always seek help from Ali rather than God. Somewhere they ascribe Ali with the powers of a God as Christians do about Jesus. Some Shiites even worship Ali like a God, and some think that he is the son of God. They are they argue their cause that Ali was born in Khana Kaaba, and that is the house of God. So, in fact, he is the son of God. But the but that sect who believes that he is a son of God, they try to hide this secret from the other sects of the Muslim, because majority of Muslims say that God has got no relative as mentioned in the Quran. Yet they retort that if Jesus can be a son of God, then why not God can have one more son, the younger one named Ali? However, this idea is not widespread among Muslims, but only a few Shiites in number out of their sheer love with Ali ascribe him as God's son. The sect of Shiites, those who believe the Hazrat Ali is the son of God or God by himself, they are called as Nusairis. Nusairi. Nusairi share their ideas in a most secret way due to the fear of not inviting the wrath of majority of Muslims. The idea is normally shared in privacy. You scratch my back, I will scratch yours. They are ready to compromise with Christians, those who believe that Christ is the Son of God. We will accept your version provided you also accept Ali as the second youngest son of God. The biggest sect of Muslims in Sunni, they believe in Muhammad and his four companions, the four caliph Bakr, Umar, Usman, and Ali. Shiites regularly, in an organized way in their rituals and prayers, scold and abuse and use filthy language against the first three companions of the Prophet Muhammad. Those are Bakr, Umar, and Usman, in favor of Ali. According to Shiites, Ali's rights to become a caliph has been usurped by the first three caliphs. Islamic history is the unique piece of conspiracies and intrigues, whereas Islam is the other name of hypocritical attitude of ceremonial rites in order to make their God happy for the achievement of otherworldly gains in paradise. That is subtitle 28. When Muhammad died, there was no one to bury him. When Muhammad died, there was no one to bury him. Subtitle 20. It is often boasted by Muslim community that the followers of Muhammad were extremely dedicated and honest for the greater cause of humanity and in the submission to the commands of their God. Just if they look in the mirror of the history, they will surely find the answer of their fallacies. Their their answer lies at the moment when Muhammad died. It is a historical fact there was none to bury him except his close relative Ali. On the occasion of Prophet's death, all the companions of Prophet called Sahabis, companions are once started fighting and quarreling for the achievement to get the throne. They started to knit the web of intrigues and conspiracies against each other in order to get hold of power and authority, even without losing a moment to bury Muhammad. That was the state of sorrows which they felt for the Prophet's departure. Arabs were, of course, extremely selfish and bloodthirsty people. Companions and the Prophet by himself were not immune from this craft. That is subsection 29, Democracy in Islam. It is falsely proclaimed by the foolish majority of Muslims that Islam is full of democratic ideas. As the corpse of Muhammad was yet unburied, and hands were raised only in one room as a token to elect Hazrat Abu Bakr as next king, the Muslim Caliph. This sudden and uncertain raising of hands in only one room without any prior notice in favor of Abu Bakr is called democracy in Islam. State of Muslim ignorance. This is the state of Muslim ignorance, dishonesty, and cunningness was that even no prior notice of information was given to the people around, and even no date was announced to give the opportunity to the other contesting candidates. This one room quest election was completed before the burial of their prophet named Muhammad. This was the disgrace given to the corpse of Muhammad by his immediate followers. After Muhammad, this was the time where the Islamic history had its beginning with its real face of hypocrisy. Nepotism and favoritism were planted deep into their system. Few people, those who were present at one place or a room, represented the whole of the Arab population, and they were the people who were going to conquer whole the world. And those who claimed that their system is most just and fair, full of universal truths, all the close companions of Prophet, included Hazrat Amir Muawiyah, became dagger drawn enemies against each other for the achievement of the crown. Out of four companions of Prophet Muhammad named Bakr, Umar, Usman, and Ali, three were slaughtered, and they were the caliphs of their own times. Subsection 30. Hazrat Umar, the second caliph, ordered to burn the libraries. The level and state of ignorance and illiteracy were at the climax. It is important to notify that the second Muslim caliph, Hazrat Umar Farooq, during his regime and after his conquest, ordered to burn all the libraries of Roman Empire where Greek knowledge was preserved, and it was done. According to Umar, the Quran is sufficient for them. Everything of knowledge is in the Quran, and there is no knowledge outside that of the Quran. So burn all the books, which was done, and his command was obeyed. Subtitle 31. This is the brutal history of Islam. Hazrat Aisha, the Prophet's youngest wife, fought a war named as the War of Jamal against Hazrat Ali. Ali was closest companion and nearest relative of Prophet Muhammad. When Ali came in power as the fourth Muslim caliph, the greatest blunder was committed by him. He just at once changed the capital of Islam and taken it out from his motherland, Arab, to Iraq. Either the capital earlier, the capital was Mecca of Arabia, but but he has taken the throne to Kufa, the city of Iraq. The only reason was that the women of Kufa, the Iraqi city, were more beautiful than Mecca, whereas in Iraq rivers were flowing with much more fertile land, and area was full with plenty of food. Center of Islamic gravity was shaken by this act of Ali, all motivated with the allurements of greed and blindness. Change of capital was the founding cause of intrigues within Muslims, which was committed by the lion of Allah named Ali. Subtitle is 32. Imam Hussein was slain by Yazid. War remained as it was even in between the closest relatives of Muhammad to get crown and throne. After a very short period, Ali's son Hazrat Imam Hussein, who was also the son of Prophet's daughter Hazrat Fatima, was killed by Yazid, who was the son of Hazrat Amir Muawiyah, a Sahabi, a close friend of Prophet. Yazid, with his companions, allured Imam Hussein to visit the city of Kufa, the capital in Iraq, and he was promised to get the crown and kingdom over there. It was also promised that Imam Hussein will be accepted as Caliph of all Muslims. Hussein was trapped and went Kufa, the capital city in Iraq. Hussein was accompanied with his all family and friends numbered 72, including women and children. Yazid's big army imprisoned all of them and slaughtered them at once. Hussein implored and protested to Yazid to let him go back, but Yazid very wisely rejected his request and finished the conspiracy against him for all the times to come. After the slaughter of Hazrat Imam Hussein, Yazid said, let us all together pray in namaz and pay compliment to God for our victory. And they collectively prayed before God in their namaz that from now onward it will be peace all over. It was the prayer of Muslims on on the occasion of the slaughter of the son of Prophet's daughter, Imam Hussein. All these were Muslims, and all was done by for the greater glory of Islam. Muslim community Shiites exaggerate to the last degree of boasting that war between Yazid and Imam Hussein was bloody and furious, where Imam Hussein fought very bravely. It is legend during the war it is a legend that during the war, when Imam Hussein fell from the horse, there were so many arrows piercing his body that all the arrows touched the ground. It is also an invented story that men and women who accompanied Imam Hussein were encircled by the army of Yazid for many days. The water and food supply was cut for them, yet they were resistant. In fact, there was no such war at all. It is highly unreasonable to think that 72 people, including children and women, can fight against such a big army of Yazid. The facts tell as different story that the people of Imam Hussein were just caught and arrested. Men were killed without extending any mercy. Muslims don't kill the woman in war because they are used as commodities subject to rape. Subtitle 33. Each year Shiites cut their bodies. Each year, the Shiites mourn and cut their bodies with knives and bleed themselves in the memory of slain Hazrat Imam Hussein. 1400 years have been past the day when Imam Hussein was slain. Every year in the month of Muharram, the Shiites mourn and cut their bodies with knives and bleed themselves in memory of slain Hazrat Imam Hussein. Such is the force of creed and taboo, most ugly and disgusting. Each year there are big processions in all the Muslim countries and cities where openly this beastly act of blood soaked mourning mourning is demonstrated. Shiites create the environment full of sorrows. The barbaric history in the name of God's religion narrates that in the court of Harun Rashid, who was the most powerful caliph in the Muslim history, there always stood beside the king a strong black man with sword, always ready to behead any person on the smallest pretext of disliking by the king. Even in the present modern world, Muslims have their brutal belief in the same way as it was 1400 years before. They have not even taken a single step of their advancement. Presently, even yet, there are fools, those who fully advocate and support the brutality of their religion, which is awful. Since the time great philosophers, sociologists, and scientists came in the world to change it, even then the state of affairs is as such that Islam still roared with all its vulgarity, brutality, and corruption of ideas. Subtitle 34. Subtitle 34. Staunch Muslims called Marazais, and these are declared as non Muslims because they don't have the belief on the last prophethood, Muhammad. It is the claim of all the Muslims that Muhammad is the last prophet. After Muhammad, no prophet will come from God to give any further message anymore. It was said by Prophet Muhammad by himself that he was the last prophet. The reason was that the ancient dark period of illiteracy, ignorance, and blindness were coming to an end. The scientific era was going to begin, and in the period which is enlightened by sciences, will have no room for superstitions, phantoms, ghosts, religious dreams, and concepts of magic. There is no more scope for mad prophets to come anymore. So Muhammad was wise enough to stamp a seal by closing the door of future prophethood. However, the Muhammad was falsified by Marazais called Ahmadis, who, while they declared that even for Muhammad, madman, even after Muhammad, a madman can come as prophets. After Muhammad, they have declared their own independent prophet named as Ghulam Ahmad Mirza, whose, whose Muslim followers are called on his name as Marazais or Ahmadis. Though the Marazais, they did not refute the prophethood of Muhammad, but they proved by their conduct that yet dark periods is not over. We are there to supplement the foolish ideas of the declaration of a new prophethood. It is the same way as Mormons, a Christian sect, who also declared that they have their prophet, the messenger of God, who is presently sitting in America. Christians who challenge the Muslims that despite all our progress and advancement in sciences, we Christians are not less than Muslims in any way in the field of foolishness and ignorance. They have proved this by inventing a new prophet even in this modern age. Amongst Muslims, Marazais Ahmadis are in the minority, very small in number, and they are not a powerful. They are not as powerful as Shiites. So, due to a smaller number and lack of power, they are persecuted for their declaration of a new prophet. They are declared as non Muslims, though they believed the Quran and all the Muslim rituals more strongly than anyone in any other sect. Due, due to persecution, the majority of them became foreign agents and started working to undermine the integrity of the countries in which they had taken their births. Though there are hundreds, though there are hundreds of Muslim antagonistic sects, but these three, Sunnis, Shiites, and Marazais, Ahmadis, became the dagger drawn enemies against each other. Subtitle 35. Khana Kaaba in Saudi Arabia. The headquarters of gangsters is Khana Kaaba at Mecca in Saudi Arabia, with a widespread network of all mosques, millions in numbers throughout in the world. It is the same as a church under the regimentation of Pope, and all the darkness prevailed everywhere. Mosques, mosques, millions in number everywhere throughout the world, are the headquarters of gangsters. In each village mosque network with its web is the center of all crimes in combination with terrorism and illiteracy. If we vanquish that source of crime, that is Hanakaba, all the criminal ideas of terrorism will die down, and all the mosques where the crime of backwardness with illiteracy is taught in an organized way will come to an end. The story of Khana Kaaba in Mecca runs as that in the past ancient history, it was a time before Prophet Abraham, more than 2000 years BC, that there fell a meteoroid from the space. It was a black stone. Tribal people of the area thought that God had sent this sacred stone to them. They had taken that meteorite as holy and started worshipping it by prostrating in front of that stone. The idea of Muslim namaz is developed to that process of bowing and prostration. God had blessed them through that black stone. That was their firm belief. They had put the stone in the center in Mecca, worshipped it till present. Each year, all the Muslims from entire world they gather in Mecca at Khana Kaaba, the house of God, to pray and prostrate before their God. It is the ceremony called Hajj Pilgrimage. All the Muslims gathered over there, they circle around that stone. They bow and prostrate before the stone. From the ancient history, that place was called Khana Kaaba. This practice was there even before the advent of Islam. All the Muslims of the world assemble there to perform Hajj ceremonies each year. Throughout the world, Khana Kaaba is the center of Muslim unity and brotherhood. All the Muslims of from all the countries prostrate themselves before their God in namaz, facing towards Khana Kaaba, the center of the Islamic world. While worshipping, they make a direction straightly aligned to that black stone placed there in Khana Kaaba. Muslims normally say, "Don't bow before idols of stone," yet not realizing that they themselves had put the stone in the center to bow in front. A legend about the stone is that initially it was white, but it was blackened with the passage of time, as it has sucked all the sons of Muslims, the same way as in Christian mythology, Jesus had sucked the sins of all Christians by putting himself on the stake and giving sacrifice for the sins of their followers. Muslims are the enemies of all other religions, the same way as all of them are the enemies of each other. But Islam is unique, who says, "Fight on the way of the Allah against all those who don't have belief in God or prophethood of Muhammad." Especially, they are the sworn enemies of Israelites and Jews due to the reason that Islam had copied Old Testament, and that is the religion of Jews. Islam must stab his forefathers in order to establish their own kingdom, and their forefathers are Jews. It is very important to mention that in the Quran, Jews are condemned to the highest degree without taking any notice that the Quran by itself is the story of all about Jews. All the religious people are highly malicious, and their hatred is always visible on their faces as the reflection of their hearts and mind. It is a dark, evil shadow like a misery clinging to a diseased person, whereas the Jews, Christian, and Muslim are the integral part of their harmony with the blend of same evil shade. 36 subtitle is 36 Durood Sharif is contradictory to Quran. Again, it is pertinent to point out that Muslims in their five times prayer namaz they send their praises to Israelites in their Durood Sharif. which is a major contradiction to which Muslims as a whole community without exceptions are not conscious and are ignorant of this fact because they don't read the Ruth by understanding it. They just read it as a parrot speaks the words without understanding the meanings. They just recite it, taking as holy. But surely it defies the spirit of Quran that gives the message to each Muslim to become the enemy of Jews. In their five times namaz, they send Ruth on Ale Ibrahim, and that Ale Ibrahim are Jews. They condemn and abuse the Jews all the time, day and night, but they praise them in their prayer without knowing the meanings of the prayer, which is extremely surprising and a point of mourning on the wisdom of Muslim community. Subtitle 37 Hajjatul Wida. Before his death, on the occasion of last Hajj pilgrimage, Hajjatul Wida, Prophet Muhammad delivered his sermon and said, all those who change their caste and those slaves who change or disown their masters, on them is the condemnation of God. Prophet Muhammad further added that I am leaving this sermon for you. If you would hold my teaching, you will not be led astray in future. Subtitle 38. Mosques are Mosques are crime networks. In Islamic society, mosques called the home of God, which regularly gives a call to the people towards their God, where people gather where the people gather five times a day and once in a week, one Friday to listen to sermons. The practice is going on since the birth of Islam in Saudi Arabia. All this is the heinous web of ignorance knitted with extreme dexterity and cunningness. It is just like a fish net which is spread all around them, and no way out is left. No way out is left. The network is callous and cruel by its fabric to capture the psychology of common man, especially the innocent young children. It had already worked for 1400 years with all the resonance and echo in the atmosphere. This filthy social engineering had made all the people nearly mad, same as the case with the church as that of temple too. In this way, the whole of the world became under the paralyzing effect of their brains. I have met many highly qualified people such as doctors, lawyers, engineers, holding highest degrees of their qualifications in their requisite fields, all of them without exception. They are not able to get themselves freed from the backward ideas of religion which captured them from their very childhood. It is called the disease of religion. Each Muslim country has more than 100,000 mosques where day and night sermons are delivered to impregnate the brains of innocent people by giving them a wash of poison. Mosques are crime network. These mosques are the institution which, in a regular manner, spread darkness and hatred all around. Islamic countries, and impregnated with the blindness of religious belief. They even teach physics or mathematics in a religious shade. For example, Muslim doctors explain the medical sciences in a way they might be they might be in FRCS, MRCP, or any high degree of their qualification. They say God has made small intestine and large one too. God has made a valve in between the small intestine and large one. God has made the brain cells like that. Islamic society, there is no concept of free philosophy or criticism. In the modern age, neither a single invention is done by the Islamic world, nor there any possibility for that. Even any scientist cannot take his birth in their jumble of that thought. Muslim history is barren in respect of philosophy. Free thinking, the spirit of which is suffocated in a religious environment. The philosopher is a free thinker, preoccupied mind which had already been determined beforehand, is the negation of philosophy. Islam is destitute regarding these ideas. That is the real cause that Islam was not able to produce a single scientist in their own laboratory or countries. Even in the past history, Muslim philosophers like Avicenna and Ibn Rushd were not original philosophers. At the most, they could be called as theologians and translators with a little touch of philosophy, which they had taken and borrowed from Greeks. Especially, they were the translators of Aristotle. The Quran, which was in fact stolen from the Bible, the Quran is a forged document. This dishonesty was shadowed like a dark cloud which prevailed throughout the Muslim history. They forged everything. All the sayings of Prophet Muhammad and Ali were forged from the sayings of Moses, Jesus, and other prophets, which were already mentioned in the fake stories of the Bible. As the Quran is by itself is a forged book, so its teachings are also forgery, fraud, theft, brigandage, and war with the criminal intent. Their so called God is the author of all these stupidities. Subtitle 39. Muhammad was a non believer. Prophet Muhammad was a non believer. This is a true fact and the sole reality. The non belief of Muhammad can be proved by these three historical facts. First is that Muhammad prayed to God that out of two Umars, he would he would con- out of two Umars, he would convert one Umar to become a Muslim. Psychologically, Muhammad was so much impressed by the strength and influence of these two persons. One was Abu Jahl, whose name was also Umar, and other was Umar bin Khattab. So God accepted his prayer, and Umar bin Khattab became a Muslim. This prayer to God is the denial of God's authority and sovereignty, with his pledge and guarantee for the success of Islamic religion. While while the prayer while the success depended on the person who embraced Islam after the prophet's prayer. The second occasion was when, after the conquest of Mecca, Muhammad forgave Abu Sufyan, who was the biggest enemy of Islam. Again again in the mind of Muhammad was so much of the mind of the Muhammad was so much obsessed by the influence of Abu Sufyan that Prophet declared that whosoever will take refuge in the house of Sufyan, he will be safe. This statement of Muhammad was a political move and was based on the fact that the Prophet himself, did not believe in the existence of God, while he forgave the biggest idolater and enemy of Muslims after the conquest of Makkah. While the third proof of non belief of Muhammad on God was event called Treaty of Hudaybiyah. This treaty was on the terms and conditions which were most disgraceful for the Muslims and depicted very clearly that Muhammad had no trust in God. Save the Save the innocent people of the world with their coming generations from the inflicted wounds of the most fatal disease called religions. People of the entire world must come out of the marsh of misery, poverty, and ignorance. Though this intellectual emancipation, through this intellectual emancipation and by breaking the chains of taboos, rituals, and religions, I believe an international culture of brotherhood, unity, love, and peace will take its birth, while the poison of hatred and wars will come to an end. Thank you. See you later. That is the end of the chapter 11. Three book reading 1, book reading 2, book reading 3. Now the book reading 4 will jump into the next chapter, that is chapter 12. Thank you very much. See you later. And this is the end.